Hey guys, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Victoria, and today we're doing a fun project that is near and dear to my heart. We're making my mom's old-fashioned molasses cookies recipe. Now, this recipe, according to my mom, came from her grandmother who came here from Ireland when she was 16 years old. So this is a very old recipe. In complete transparency, this is the second time I'm recording the first part of this video. I recorded this a few days ago, and it was the first time that I had ever made this recipe. Unfortunately, my SD card quit on me for some reason because I didn't get the first half of the video, but I did get part of the second half. So I'm just going to shoot the first part of this video again. We're going to mix the ingredients, and I'm going to put it in the refrigerator to chill. And then I'll use the second half of the video I shot a few days ago to show you how to roll the cookies out and bake them, and then the final result. So let's get started on this. The first thing we need to do for our recipe is mix 1 cup of molasses with 1 cup of sugar. So this is the second time I'm making this, so it's a little bit more familiar to me now. All right, so there's 1 cup of sugar and 1 cup of unsulfured supreme baking molasses. I had a different brand when I made this a few days ago. I think it was Grandma's, which is a pretty popular brand, but I didn't have enough, and so I finished it off with this, and it did fine, so we're going to use this again. 1 cup molasses into the 1 cup of sugar. Oops, that would have been messy. Make sure we get all that in there. There's something about making recipes that you know your mother and your grandmother and your great-grandmother also made in their kitchen. I don't know about you, but the older I get, the more sentimental I get. So that has a lot of meaning for me. All right, we'll put that in the sink. We are done with that. I'm going to take my Danish whisk and incorporate this molasses and sugar. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So the original recipe for this would have been melted lard. In fact, my cousin sent me the recipe from her mother, my aunt, and it did say a cup of melted lard. But then I got a copy of my mom's recipe, and hers said melted shortening or melted oil. So for the sake of making this a little more healthy, if we can say that about molasses cookies, I'm going to use avocado oil. And because this is the second time around making this, I already know that using avocado oil works out really well. It's been a while since I've had one of my mom's molasses cookies, but I could not notice a difference using the avocado oil from what I remember her cookies tasting like, which I remember them being amazing. Okay. We're going to mix 1 cup of avocado oil into the sugar and molasses mixture. So this does take a little bit to get this oil mixed in well with the sugar and molasses. I was a little worried about having another whole batch of molasses cookies because this does make quite a few. But it's been a few days since I did the first batch, and I think we maybe have 1 or 2 cookies left, so I think we're going to be okay. Plus I can share these. I can take some to a neighbor or my daughter who lives closer. The daughter's a little farther away, so it'd be a little tougher to take these to her. Get a little bit of an arm workout with this recipe. I think maybe the next time I make this, I'll try using my KitchenAid mixer and see if that works well or makes any difference with the cookie dough. I can't imagine that it would. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and add vanilla. This is my homemade vanilla that I started with vodka and vanilla beans. It's good. It's very, very good. Okay, so we need 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Put that right in. And then it tells us to beat in 1 egg. Okay. Okay, so the next thing it wants us to do is we're going to get 2/3 cup of hot water, and into that we're going to dissolve 4 teaspoons of baking soda. Okay, so there is our 2/3 cup of hot water. And now we need 4 teaspoons of baking soda. Seems like an awful lot of baking soda to me. But the recipe turned out well, so. Okay, so now let's add this into our liquid mixture. Okay, that feels pretty good. Now that's it for this bowl. We're going to start our dry ingredients in a second bowl. Okay, for the dry ingredients, we're going to start with 5.5 cups of sugar, I believe. Yep, 5.5 cups of sugar. Get my half cup. And that is salt, which would have been pretty bad. I don't think I want to do this video 3 times. There's 1. Let me get my sifter. There we go. Make this a little bit finer when we go to mix it. 2, 3, 4, 5, and a half. I'm going to have to refill my flour bin. Okay. Aside. Okay, now into the dry mixture. 1½ teaspoons cream of tartar. No, it's just trying to be difficult. Okay, 1½ teaspoons cream of tartar. Out. 1 and a half. 1½ teaspoons of cinnamon. And a half. 1½ teaspoons of ginger. Half a teaspoon of ground cloves. And then 3/4 teaspoon of salt. Okay, we're going to sift that all together. Eventually. Gosh, that smells so good already. Times like this, you need smell-o-vision. Smell of that cinnamon and the cloves and the ginger. My gosh. Okay, so now we are going to mix the dry ingredients into the liquid ingredients all at once, is what the recipe says. No beating around the bush here. It's all going in. And again, I think you could probably use, if you had a stand mixer and a dough hook, I think you could probably use that. But for the sake of this being old-fashioned cookies, we'll just do it by hand. Okay, so we have sifted the dry ingredients and we have put it back into the liquid mixture. And now we're just going to mix. What's baking if you don't make a mess, right? Okay, I think we about have it. Now this is a pretty wet dough, and it's meant to be. I'm going to let this chill for a few hours. The recipe says for at least an hour, but you can do more than that. You can do overnight as long as you cover it up. So as it chills, it'll thicken up a little bit. But you're going to roll this out on flour, and that'll help thicken it up too. But it's a pretty loose and sticky consistency. Okay, so I'm going to get the batter off of this whisk. Cover it up and stick it in the refrigerator. I'm sure my husband and my boys won't be upset to have more molasses cookies to eat this evening. So that's it. That is the first process. After it chills for a while, I'll take it out and roll it out, cut it with a cookie cutter and bake them. And you will see that in the next, or the second half of this video. And that was shot a few days ago. So we're going to let Past Vicky show you how to do the rest. Okay, guys. It's been an hour. You can chill this for more than an hour. This would be fine overnight, actually. So, but for the sake of this video, I'm just doing an hour. I'm going to go ahead and sift some flour onto this pastry sheet, because this still is a very sticky dough. And that's going to make it a little easier to work with. Fingers crossed. We'll scrape her out here. Oh my goodness, yep. Yep, that's a sticky dough. All the way up to my arm here. Okay. Let me wash that off my arm. I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of flour on the top of that. Okay, so the directions say to roll this out to a 1/4 inch thickness. Oops, a little heavy-handed there. Dough actually feels pretty cool. I've never worked with cookie dough that felt like this before. Okay, so I have my cookie sheet here. I've lined it with a silicone sheet. Just hoping that that'll make it a little bit easier. And we're going to use, I think we'll use the 2-inch cookie cutter ring here. We'll see how easy these come out. Oh, that wasn't bad at all. A little flour on the side here so I can cookie cutter in there. Oopsie. Get something to pick those up so I'm not indenting them with my fingers. I'm not sure how much rise those are going to get or how much they'll spread. We're going to assume that that's enough room and hope that we're right. So much easier when they actually stick a little bit to the cookie cutter. Got this guy. Alright, so we'll do 3 more on this pan. Oopsie. Come on there. Okay, so that sheet is done. The recipe says to cook for 10 to 12 minutes at a 400-degree oven. I'm not there yet. Looks like I'm at 350, so I'm still preheating. So we're going to sprinkle these tops with a little bit of sugar. My oven has reached 400 degrees, so I'm going to pop these in and cook them for 10 to 12 minutes. Now, as far as what's left, I'll go ahead and prepare a second cookie sheet and get those on, and then pop those in the refrigerator for a few minutes. We want to keep this dough good and cool. Okay, so this is what we have left, and I'm just going to roll that out again. It's still a pretty wet dough, so this little added flour in here is not going to make a big difference. Maybe just to make it a little bit easier to handle. We'll put some more flour on there. Don't need too much. And we'll roll this out again. My sister has made this recipe, and she did warn me that this makes quite a few cookies. Okay, that's probably good. I think that's all we're going to get on that one. Let me get one more cookie sheet. I think I'm just going to use this huge cookie sheet here. Make sure I get all of the last batch on there together. And I'm out of silicone mat, so I'm just going to do some parchment paper on this one. Okay, let me scoop these up. Squash that one a little bit. That's all right. Some of these may not be perfectly round after I've manhandled them a little bit. Okay, so let's roll out. We have quite a bit more room, so I'm going to roll the rest of the dough out, and I think we'll be able to get that onto that cookie sheet. One more. I get 2 more cookies out of this last little bit. Maybe. Off there. Find it helps sometimes if you talk to your food. It's being difficult. All right, we're not going to worry about that last little scrap. I think we're good. Clean up all of that in a minute. For these, we're going to add a little bit of sugar on top, just like the others. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and pop these into the refrigerator. Make sure they stay chilled while they're waiting to go in the oven. Oh my goodness. Look at those. I love the crackle. And they smell amazing. So we'll go ahead and get our second batch out of the fridge and into the oven. We're going to put those for 10 minutes, like the last batch. I wish that you all could smell these cookies. I feel like I just entered a time machine and went back to the 1970s. Crazy how smells can bring back so many memories. They're just so pretty. Oh my goodness. I'm making my mom proud, y'all. These smell so amazing. My mom's 85 and she doesn't really do a whole lot of cooking anymore. But she has all of her recipes written down so that we can carry on the tradition. So glad that she did. Notice one's missing here. This was given to my husband. And he approves. Okay, guys, last batch. I let these sit on the counter for about 5 minutes. Now I'm just going to let them finish cooling on these cooling racks. These 2 batches have already cooled. These, the crackling on top is a little bit less. I'm assuming that is probably likely for a couple different reasons. One, this dough was worked the most, which may affect that. And also, this dough was the one that was out of the refrigerator longer, so it probably wasn't as cool going into the oven. A couple extras there. I'll just leave those on the pan. So that may be the difference, which we can play around with that a little bit. These here are the perfect consistency. You got a little bit of a crispness on the bottom, that signature flour on the bottom. My mom's always looked like that, so I love it. At the top of it, you've got that, it's soft, it's chewy. This isn't a super sweet cookie, but that little bit of sprinkle of sugar on top adds to that a little bit. So delicious. Okay, guys, there we have it. My SD card on my other camera ran out somewhere while filming this, so I'm not sure if I have the entire footage, but fingers crossed we do. This is my first time trying this recipe, like I said, so I could not be more pleased. Now I'm doing low carb today, so just a bite. My boys will be home this evening. My husband will be home, so they can take advantage of these cookies. Tastes like home. I'm telling you all, you've got to try this recipe. Those are amazing. Thanks for joining me today in my kitchen. I appreciate it. It means a lot that you all would take a few minutes out of your day to spend it with me. If you'd like to see more recipes and other things going on my channel, I would invite you to subscribe. If you don't mind, maybe give this video a like. Comments are welcome. I appreciate feedback. I'd love to know if you try this recipe, and if you do, what you think of it. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you next time.